Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Happening right now, Hurricane Ian is pummeling the state of Florida. The hurricane shifting slightly south of Tampa Bay before gaining speed with winds topping 155 miles per hour. Slamming into southwestern Florida between Venice Beach and Fort Myers is a potentially deadly Category 4 hurricane just shy of a Category 5. Now moving over central Florida, officials warning the storm is continuing to pack winds and rains that will cause catastrophic floods and life-threatening storm surge.
It's not just the rise of the water from the storm surge, it's the breaking waves on top of it that are going to be driven by those 155-mile-an-hour winds. Those waves can destroy buildings and basically lay a foundation to bear down to the slab. And that's just not a situation you're going to survive in.
And here's just a taste of the damage already caused by Ian. The storm causing a nationwide blackout in Cuba on Tuesday, and now Florida dealing with mass power outages. We're also keeping an eye on the phosphate markets as Hurricane Ian moves further inland. Florida is home to Mosaic. Its corporate headquarters are in Tampa. The company mines phosphate and potash, turning them into fertilizers. Now it says North America phosphate operations make up about 50% of the country's granular phosphate fertilizer and 12% of the global supply. The company saying in a tweet that it started prepping its facilities for the storm last week, and it says its employees in downtown Tampa and other Florida locations are working remotely, and it will alert customers of any impact to services. Now there's concern any disruptions to the fertilizer supply could cause already high food prices from inflation to push even higher. And as we've been reporting, Hurricane Ian poses a big problem to Florida's citrus production. Now it's reported 90% of the state's citrus belt is at risk. The University of Florida says on its website strong winds alone can blow fruit off the trees, but tree damage from the winds and 10 to 20 inches of rain could be the most severe. Orange juice futures surging as much as 5.5% to $1.92 a pound midweek. Prices were already elevated due to citrus screening and earlier bad weather in Florida and Brazil. Now, one disaster modeler is already predicting that damage and economic losses in all of Florida could reach up to $70 billion, which would rank Ian as the 8th costliest U.S. hurricane. Crude oil futures gaining back some ground due to the hurricane after hitting 9-month lows earlier in the week. Now, crude oil futures pushing back above $80 a barrel on Wednesday. Oil and gas operators evacuated 12 platforms in the Gulf of Mexico, shutting down 11% of the area's crude oil production and nearly 9% of the natural gas production.
Was a little bit of a shocker because the storm looks like it's going to miss most of the Gulf of Mexico fields, but caution is important for these guys. We don't want any injuries out there, so we've seen about 500,000 barrels taken offline, some natural gas. The bigger effect though from this is on the southern and southeast gasoline and fuel market. It's hard to move fuel around and keep everything going, and this kind of event disrupts a lot of the barge traffic that goes to Florida. There's no pipelines there.
Also earlier this week, in anticipation of Hurricane Ian, Chevron and BP evacuated personnel and shut production at some of their platforms in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, BP is working to redeploy offshore personnel after determining conditions are safe to return. So the market impact should be short-lived.